So your product being eco-friendly you should not lead with that. Lead with your product qualities or your benefits and the outcome that it can do for your customer and so on and so forth, whatever it is. After that, you also tell them that yes, when you're buying this, you're not only getting sparkling floors, you're not only getting amazing skin, you're also doing a small bit for your planet. That is how you frame a message. So you frame a message accordingly, write beautiful copy, and that's how you capitalize on green marketing. That's how you do green marketing the right way. Be authentic. See if your brand stands for it. See for a good fit between that. So as an organization, as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, that's how I would want to use green marketing today. And with that, I want to close my argument or my talk here. But at the same time, I want to just end it off with one single thing, that when we are looking at using green marketing, let's put ourselves in the shoes of the customer. Let us be the customer for a moment and see what is the customer going to see, do, and react after buying our brand. I think we'll have the right path right in front of us. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Vinay, for a wonderful difference and wonderful awareness about green marketing, and awareness that you gave about what exactly is the authenticity and greenwashing, right? Thank you so much. So our next speaker is Priyanka. Priyanka Moza, who is a marketing manager at GEP. She is sustainability and environment enthusiast. She believes in causes and products that makes human lives better, which is also the reason of our podcast, The First Times, part of Thought Leadership Council in her organization. She feels strongly about green marketing being the way forward. So I welcome Priyanka to discuss on the series.
Well, thank you, Sarika, for inviting me to this panel. And I'm so happy that I'm sharing this conversation with Vinay and Vidya, who's, I think, not on the call with us. Well, green marketing is such an important subject. That's why we all are here. But at the same time, I feel it's also very difficult to explain. So hopefully I'll be able to add some quote unquote marketing angle to it. I believe whatever topic I had today is half of it is already being covered by my other two panelists, and rightfully so. So I would rather take a step back here and talk about the reason why green marketing or green in marketing space exists at the first place, right? I think today we all are together in this boat of uncertain climatic and sustainability conundrum. And it is because we brought it up, right? It's our lifestyle in totality that has brought this problem where we are trying to have some sustainability for our future generations. We are endangering nature with our choices. And so the product and services that accommodate that lifestyle we're leading today creates that kind of ripple effect in the environment, which we are discussing to an extent right now. So when it comes to that lifestyle, right? Some people are doing sustainability, having sustainability choices, some are not. At the end of the day, I believe it has to be a mindful and a conscious effort that we all collectively have to put together so that whatever green marketing we are trying to do has the right effect, does give a right outcome to all of us in due time. I mean, of course, Rome was not been built in a day. So if we think that consumer products are going to exchange within a night of consumer getting aware, that's not going to happen. But since the majority of the population is working, those people like you and I who can make the right choices, who can afford those right choices that can help our environment, are working individuals in corporate and public sector, we are the ones on whose shoulder that the whole decision rests, right? We can bring the awareness, we can bring the decisions in place, we can make sure that green marketing is made rightly where it should be. And to Vinay's point, we need to be very well aware of what we are buying, why we are buying, before buying it, because it is obviously costly for all of us. So that is my piece. I do believe some of the corporates have deliberately created some CSR activities for sustainability. Some, of course, have done it for the sake of it, but many of them, whom I have witnessed, have done it as being the pioneers in those in the sector, right? I mean, my current organization and the organizations I've worked in past, like last 4 years, have deliberately created some CSR activities, whether it's planting trees, whether it's buying the products for Diwali gifts, for example, that can be reused or recycled easily. So that there is a cycle of change management that is happening within the whole employee base, right? My current company has 4,000 employees, but my past company has 1 lakh and above, right? So that CSR activity happening currently is very conscious. I don't feel that it is something to do with just having the brownie points in public. And it has created good positive ripple effects on the other people's mindset to change their lifestyle accordingly. So that's it. So that's my side of the things.
Thank you so much, Priyanka, for a wonderful insight again on green marketing. And as you have been into this field for so many years and you are an environmental enthusiast, I would like you to highlight on what are the drivers that when we talk about CSR, right? When we talk about corporate social responsibility. So what are the drivers that lead the organization with those emerging activities?
Well, that's a very good question. I don't know if there is a straight answer to it, but I think people with consciousness is one of the major driver. It's not even about the cost. It's not even about if the corporates have the finance, because they do have finance. Okay, they can buy a $5 thing and also a $10 thing. It's just the people's mentality collectively that drive those CSR activities. I have been into discussions with thought leaders where the middle layer of the thought leader is very eco-friendly. They talk about environment so enthusiastically, but the upper layer is so unaware. They are so complacent that the decisions do not happen. Now it's a sad reality, but it is so. So I think that change management happens usually in this section when CSR comes from mid to higher, not from higher to mid. Which is weird because leaders usually drive those activities or the change management. But this is one of the driver. If you have it's like a community, like LGBTQ. The community drives the passion and the reason for any of the cause to happen. Even and for this reason alone, not just thought leadership, but also having a community of environment uh, enthusiasts within an organization becomes a huge driver. So I think at the end of the day, it comes to the people who drive it. Even if you have 10 people driving it, it multiplies fourfolds. It's 10 to the power of 4, something like that. That's an algorithm that exists, and I've seen that happening. Um, there might be other factors. Cost is definitely a factor, but I have seen it has been a secondary or a tertiary factor, to be honest, especially in corporates. It can be a primary factor when it comes to personal choices. Of course, uh, if I go and buy, say, a product that is eco-friendly, it will cost me maybe 12 rupees more or 24 rupees more than my usual, right? So I might want to think once before buying. But with corporate, it's not of a big deal. Reason they have the budget, they buy in bulk, so it's a wholesale price they get. So at the end of the day, it's about people.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. Any other queries from the audience? There is one question. Is it necessary for students?
What is necessary for the students? Sorry.
To get to know, I think he might be would like to ask about that green marketing funda or concepts is necessary for the students, obviously.
I think students today are very smart. They already know. They don't need to know, no. But yes, and a lot of students are enthusiasts and the protectors of environment. So they already know. When it comes to green marketing as a subject, I would circle back to what Vinay said. You need to know what you're promoting. You need to know what you're saying. You need to know how you're marketing. That probably can be a subjective thing that we need to speak of in front of students. specifically, but I think they are smart. They know it already.
Yeah, so they can come out with the awareness programs, right? So for
Absolutely.
using
Yeah,
those
yes, Priyanka,
eco-friendly
yes.
products and all, they can participate in those kind of workshops and all, where they promote those products.
Absolutely. So to your point, Sarika, when we had interns last summer, not last summer, actually last summer was COVID, but last to last summer when we had them, we intentionally drove them to the environment friendly CSR activities so that they are more aware of how these things happen and where they do fit in. So it was a very positive drive. We had some 10-day drive across Maharashtra, and it was all driven by the company expenses, and it was really fun. So yeah.
So they enjoy participating in those kind of drives.
Absolutely. See, anything about field students love, right? At the end of the day, nobody wants to stick at the office, even if they are, interns or what. So yeah, everybody loved it. They got their hands dirty because there was one of the activities that led them to a nearby village where they have to take out the copra, copra ka jo, there are ropes that they make, right? And they make then jute bags and the copra bags from there. So they got their hands dirty, but they got to understand the essence and reality of it as well. So, yeah.
Okay, so Priyanka, one question I would like to ask you. It is more from the CSR that now corporate is focusing on this green marketing concept, or it is the customer is more conscious nowadays. So what's according to you just forcing the corporate sectors to decide about this green marketing, eco-friendly products, and more discussions are on sustainability business practices. So what are the main factors basically behind this?
A very good question, Sunita. I think I will go back to the same point I made, that the populace that can make a decision in green marketing, fortunately or unfortunately, are working in corporates, right? I mean, there are so many people, everybody is working in corporate or public sector, right? So I think that these discussions and decision making somewhere is coming from the personal life for sure. And that is driving these conversations to happen in the corporate sector, and then the CSR activity is happening. So I would say it's not a one thing. It's not either it's a personal consumer choice or it's a corporate choice for having the brownie points. Yes, it does have a plus effect if if we have more products. Some of those consumer focused companies do come up with products, so obviously it is about revenue, but that mentality is coming from somewhere. It is coming from the other corporate people, other people who are there, who can make this conscious decision for them.
Yes, and we have seen, when Patanjali launched its products that eco-friendly, we are just doing, then Dabur and everybody copied that, we are also doing the same way, and they come up with different initiatives. So obviously competitor strategies matters a lot in this, I think.
I agree. Yes, it does.
Yes, Vinay, any input from your side on this point? What do you think?
I'd like to be a devil's advocate there. That students' question was that just came, that how can I completely agree with what Priyanka. Marketing or say eco-friendly practices in an organization are always top down. It's never down top. It's always top down, which means as a management, if the management and the I would say the people who call the shots in an organization are not aligned with being eco-friendly or being environment friendly, then at the lower level or at the levels below them, how much ever we want to be eco-friendly, it will never translate to actual results on the field. It's not
possible. Them. Yes, obviously.
So you mean to say there are a lot of challenges the organization is facing? What I want,
yes, more than the challenges, I would say that it needs a vision from the top management to go the eco-friendly, the green route. And when it comes to students, and now I know students are they are aware of what's happening. They're well read, well informed. I don't want them to get disheartened when they join an organization and the organization has practices which are not eco-friendly. I do not want them to get disheartened by that, because that is reality. So, the choice here is that would you want to only work for an eco-friendly organization, or would you want to, okay, let me work here, and then when I run my own thing, and when I do my own thing, I will do it the way I am passionate about, the way I believe in. So I do not want them to get disheartened, because it has to come from the top. That's the only point I want to add to that question.
can I speak some views on my?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Very good warm good evening to one and all, especially distinguished guests from different places and chairperson Vasundhara Blessings Foundation. On this discussion, today's green marketing strategies. Being as a director of Green Care Society India, myself, Amjad Vishwanath, I want to put one more suggestion like that for 3 R's. Especially everyone knows about very well about 3R: recycle, reuse, and reuse or reduce. So, but apart from that, I introduced another option, another R, that means repeat. The repeat option can add entire the 3 systems, 3 R's. It can use again process for cyclic orders. Why? Because after some reducing and recycling materials, we can't, that means reuse again and again. That means repeat option. By this repeat option, we can reduce again and again all these waste material managements. So it can be applicable in waste management or either in green marketing, like for different product management for eco-friendly. So on my views, we can put another R, that means repeat, which is entire 3 process 3 R's. So this is my little bit of suggestion in front of the distinguished guests and wonderful platform. So thank you very much for honoring that.
Yes, 3R you mentioned, that's nice. Every corporate is following nowadays, and 4th R you just mentioned today. So definitely that is also need to add in that because of those sustainability practices and everything is just going on.
Yes, that is not only in corporate sector but also in public sector can be used in different modes in different fields for maintaining eco-friendly strategies.
Strategies, yes, of course.
I just have one point which I missed before, and it comes from when I was listening to what Bindya said. Is using paper bag an eco-friendly way, in comparison to a plastic bag, or buying that makes sense, or is it an illegal or whatever? That's not a contradiction to what she said, but how I feel is when we talk about green products or green marketing or whatever it is, it's not about replacement more than it's about tipping the balance. So for example, if 10 people are using plastic bags, nothing is biodegradable in plastic bag, right? 10 non-biodegradable products are polluting the environment. Even if you burn, it's gonna pollute the environment, right? But in comparison to that, if you have only 2 people using plastic bags and 8 people using paper bags, then that's something else, right? Because even though it's not sustainable, but you can regrow a tree or a plant to have that paper supply happening, and you don't need to burn a paper. You can reuse it, keep on reusing it forever till the time it does. And if paper mixes water, it goes away, for example, right? So in a sense of speaking, it creates lesser impact on environment. I'm not in favor of cutting trees for getting a paper bag. I'm just saying that this is also a mentality among huge population that sustainability means replacement. It doesn't mean replacement. It means tipping the balance in the favor of where environment, you can withstand with the environment, and the environment can withstand with you. And so it's about making choices, instead of having 100% of one thing, have 20% of one thing or a 50% of one thing, till the time we know how we can survive, or our future generations can survive along with the natural resources which we can get. It's just one point I missed before.
So that's great.
Wonderful. Meeting the future needs and demands, basically. Yes.
Absolutely.
Renewable
the cost.
resources, yes. Corporates are also just focusing nowadays more and more that renewable, yes, energy and other sources.
Reducing the risk and lowering the cost.
Yes. Yes, so any suggestion or any like strategy we being in India can come up for the corporate sector, so that we can implement more and more sustainable practices for different corporate. Do you think that government should make it mandatory for every corporate, or it must be the call from the corporate sector? They must address these issues nowadays, because when everybody is speaking about CSR, that government make it mandatory for every corporate sector, but still there is a choice in that, whether you want to put your that CSR fund on environmental issues, social issues, or economical issues. That rest depends on the corporate sector. So what you would like to say, Priyanka and Vinay, my question to you, both of you, that according to you, what should be the best way when we are talking about sustainable business practices? So it is the government responsibility, that government must make it mandatory for every corporate, because corporate depends on the society. If they are utilizing their resources, so ultimately it must be there. But some corporates are doing wonderfully, right? But the government
True.
bhi utna support nahi kar payegi, they are doing that way. But
True.
some corporates are not doing. What about them? They are
So
polluting the water, they are polluting the air, earth, everything they are doing. So that kind of, so how we can come up with the strong strategy implementation part for those who are not doing it basically?
Right. I would like to go first. Probably when I think are writing notes. So I would say that this is a this situation is a very hand in hand kind of a situation, in the sense that neither government alone nor corporates alone can take a decision. And reason being, and I'll take just example of India. India is a very different landscape altogether. Here, neither the government monopoly works nor the corporate monopoly works. That's the reason why we have electricity board now run by a private sector,
Yes.
but it still goes back to the public, public sector in some way or the other, called the Kazi government, so to speak. And in an environment in which India is, or Indian consumers are, many of the Indian consumers are not that aware. So awareness becomes one of a challenge. Population is another challenge, because India is now ranking next to China, and I'm sure in next 2 years it will supersede China by at least 0.1. In such a huge population where structure is so vast, you have lower middle class, you have middle class, you have poor people, but all of them are consumers. I mean, it's not that if you are poor, you're not a consumer. You're still a consumer. You still need some bag or some clothes or whatever that is needed, right? It's difficult for just government to take up the call. It's just very difficult for corporates to accommodate or mandate their CSR activities for India in particular. Why? Because corporates are very limited. People working in corporates are limited in comparison to 1.2 Arab of population that India has, right? So it has to go hand in hand. To your point, which you made, Sunita, about some of the corporates which are polluting environment consciously, they are doing. I would say they know that they're doing, but they're still doing. Maybe one reason can be because of their products. It is needed. It may be. For that, I believe when I was working in NAGD like 5 years back, there was a policy and a discussion about the policy and a mandatory committee for these corporates in which the products are non-biodegradable kinds to supervise the way they get the resources from the environment, the way they disseminate the waste products in the environment, so that even if you cannot shut those companies, like for example Coca-Cola, I don't want to say more than that, right? But
Yeah,
at least
everybody knows.
yeah, or any of these beverage brands. It's not just Coca-Cola. I mean, let's not put it on spot. Okay, so these products are such that they will never be eco-friendly in like forever. Or they have to just shut the business. If they shut the business, lakhs of people will lose their jobs. So then what will happen? So these committees are formed to make sure the way they acquire resources and the way they disseminate their waste products are at least in a way that it does not disrupt the environment or the ecological balance around them. So I think this is the only way right now I can think is more plausible. Maybe tomorrow something else can come up, but right now that is the only plausible way in which government and corporates can work together.
Wonderful.
I've even heard about, like, out of the threat, the companies are practicing green marketing.
They are.
Out of the threat and out of the competition, to be in the competition, they are practicing green marketing, where actual practices, they are not adapting those.
Yeah, I mean,
It's the authenticity.
Yeah, given the nature of
Yeah.
some of the products, I would say, but yes, for others, the strategy is just this: have a committee, have a co-join effort with the government, and I think it should help. Now, again, Rome was not built in a day. Sustainability cannot happen in a day. It will take years. But I think I see the shift happening, to be honest, at least in Mumbai, where we live, in Delhi also, where I used to. I don't know about the other parts. I can just speak of where I have been.
Yeah, because global level practices are going on, so that also have a huge impact. Yes,
True,
obviously.
yes.
Yes, Vinay is waiting
You know,
here. Vinay,
there is,
yes, yes.
why do we hesitate to adapt something which is new, which is eco-friendly? There are primarily two reasons, be it a corporate, be it a human. Cost, convenience. To switch over, cost zyada lagega, or it's not going to be convenient. These are the two reasons which stop people from switching over. We want people to switch over to to the green path. We have to, number one, tap into that 90% of people who are willing to look at a green option if the cost and the quality are the same, which means now some products may not, we may not be able to make them cheaper. That's where the government can come in, which means that's how you incentivize eco-friendliness. You incentivize environment concern. So which means that you do this and you will get a subsidy, you will get a tax rebate, and so on and so forth. Policies that can come up which will be effective for companies that are in doing green practices. So that's one way. That's a cost part. Second is convenience. A small example: recently I worked with a client who has developed a patented product which is into solid waste management of hotels and basically biodegradable waste. He's created a powder. Now this works very beautifully even for hospitals. But when he went to hospitals, everybody said, okay, cost part is okay, we've got the money, but no, to change to this one, we'll have to dig up our sewage disposal, which is already in place. It's going into a lake, let it go. No, the government will clean the lake when it becomes very dirty. No problem. I will not name the hospital here, but that was the response. Then this company had to send its people to tell them that no, you do not have to dig up the entire pipeline, my friend. All you need to do is put it up right at the inlet outlet. You need to have one interface additional added. It takes 1 day's work, an investment of only X amount. And they actually did there and facilitated that, and the hospital was awed, simply because the mindset is that to switch over to something new, number one, bahut paisa lagega, number two, bahut inconvenient hoga. These are the two things that stop people. So if we can, as organizations, as brands, if we can facilitate these two areas, I think more and more people will be willing to try it out at least. Will they go ahead with that? Time will tell. But they will be willing to try it out at least. That's the first step. And again, I re-quote Priyanka, Rome was definitely not built in a day, but it starts with 1 day, right?
Yes,
so patience and perseverance is required, right? For the consumers to believe in the products.
Absolutely.
And the practices that are followed by the corporates. And one of the initiatives, if we talk about like all over the world, the countries took was the carbon credit, right? They can sell their 1%. Yeah, they can sell that in the international market.
Yeah.
Well, waste disposal made me remind. I reminded me of Burj Khalifa in Dubai. Since Dubai is a very small country and the population is less, so it's easier to motivate and influence smaller populace, as I believe, than the large populace, right? And which was my
but Priyanka, they are very strict about rules and regulations.
That's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to say. In comparison to India, where it cannot be just government led. Yeah, in India it cannot be just prince led or government led initiative. But in Dubai, obviously it's prince led and government led initiative. So in Burj Khalifa, every day there are 2 trucks that take out the whole garbage, and every sewage management happens because there's no sewage in the whole Burj Khalifa, which looks so beautiful from outside. And what they do is use that waste that comes from everybody's washrooms into creating oases there, because obviously it's a dry land, you cannot have manure and anything, right? So that's how they are tackling with waste management, which is environment friendly, so to speak, right? Instead of making it go into the sea, which can pollute the sea, and I don't know what else can happen, right? So that's how they do it. But then it's about population. In India, it is happening. Corporate is huge, but at the same time, very limited population. So I think from here, the change management has started. And it's always like that. When the 20% of the crowd who can do the change management takes a conscious effort to do it, the 80% crowd follows it, which I would say outside corporate, perhaps our
Yes.
parents, our children, other crowd, other people, right?
Very true. Very true.
So we fall in the rat
Characteristics-
race, right?
Yes.
Like the corporates and the organization.
Yeah,
Then to
Sarika,
be competitive in the
have
market,
last 2
adapting
minutes.
those fake
Yes.
fake policies and fake things.
Very true.
Like switching water we
Characteristic
talk
work
about.
when the horses are few.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
you have an
Sarika,
entire-
yes. Sarika, we have last 2 minutes. If anything is there from your side, you would like to conclude this session. Yes.
I think we have discussed everything about
Yeah.
green marketing.
I think this is an interesting topic. We can carry this
Yeah.
session next Saturday also, because many dimensions are there, many things we can discuss about the corporate,
Great.
about the government, and PPP model also we need in India, that support and everything. So yes, wonderful, Priyanka and Vinay, you really made our day. We listened a lot from you people, real examples from the corporate world, that
Wow.
how you are doing, how you are initiating. So wonderful
Pleasure.
insight from your side.
Yeah.
Pleasure
Yes.
was mine.
Yeah,
Pleasure was
Sarika,
all
yes,
mine.
from your
Thank you
side.
so much.
Any input or anything?
Yeah, no, we had wonderful examples about corporates and about what exactly is green market. It is not about marketing the products. It is about all the integration, as I in the beginning told about all the 4 Ps, right? So next week we can have discussion on all the 4 Ps, how the corporates can integrate those and what are the challenges that corporates are facing and what will be our individual contribution as a consumer, right, to adapt those practices. And then it comes to the
Absolutely.
organization. What can be our individual contribution? So yeah, so we can have discussion on that.
Sure, next session also we will take this series further. Yeah,
With more examples, with more corporate examples.
yes, yes.
I need to be better ready with examples instead of
Yeah.
philosophy, I think.
Yes,
When it comes
and
to-
better strategies we have to come up for India especially.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thank you for this beautiful platform and this event.
Yes, yes. Just last bit, pick everyone. Those who are here, please turn on your camera so that we can take a pic for everyone. Yes, everyone can switch on their camera, please. Yes, done. Thank you so much.
All right,
Okay.
bye then.
Bye-bye,
Have a great
take
Sunday
care.
ahead.
Thank you so
Bye.
much,
Bye, everyone.
everyone.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. Thank you so much.
Take
Vinay.
care.
Thank you,
Bye.
Sarika.
Bye.
Bye-bye.